Hi, and welcome to All the Woo A to Z. We're your hosts, Suzanne.
And Mychal, and this is season 2. Hello, I'm Mychal, and I've been following all the directions from my saliva test results this week.
Hi, Suzanne. I can't.
Follow
After that,
that.
yeah, no.
It's true, though.
My life, no, yeah. And this is E for entrainment.
Entrainment. Yes.
But first, we'd like to welcome you to our table.
Mm-hmm.
And we just, we're sharing things that are intriguing to us, that are from our experience and our understanding and our education. And we just want you to hang out and enjoy us and feel the non-judgmental, completely open and accepting space
Yes.
and be entertained.
Yes. E for entertainment. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so what we are drinking today, follow me here. We
This took her a while, y'all, so appreciate the artistry.
Yes, I really had to do my creative process for this one for finding out the pairing for this. So sometimes when with wine, things that are grown around the grapes will be picked up by the grapes and flavor in the making of the wine. In one of these ways that you can do this, or that you see it more readily, is especially in Australia with eucalyptus. So there's a lot of eucalyptus that's grown around and you'll pick it up in the wine. So the wine that we're having that has an example of this it's called Sidewood. It is their estate Shiraz. It's from the Adelaide Hills. And so this has notes. I'll read it to you. It says it's aromatics of black pepper, eucalyptus oil, leather, blackberry, cocoa powder, and it goes on into the palate portion of it. But just kind of give you an idea, realistically, I think a lot of people who are very 3D thinking would think it's grown by it. It doesn't mean it's going to pick up those flavors, when in fact it does. And that's not the only thing. You'll see it in other wines that are grown by the seaside that oftentimes will have more of a salinity kind of flavor profile to it or nose to it. So it does happen. There is this entrainment that happens between the grape and where it's being grown, that you could say most wine people refer to it as the terroir, the area around, but that's essentially, it's also kind of a type of entrainment. We could have done bubbles. That is a definite definition of,
Entrainment, yeah.
entrainment. But I decided to, since we've been doing
Just
a lot
stretch a little bit more.
yeah, I was like, but I do a lot of bubbles. So I was trying. Plus I figured eucalyptus, that also works.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So entrainment is, as she was saying, sort of two energies that grow together and that come to form the same thing. So probably what you have, without even knowing it, sometimes been in a conversation with somebody and it's really deep and it's really intense, and you actually end up breathing at the same rate.
Yes.
It is part of the connection that you're making, and a really good tool if you are having sex and want to take it skyrocketing.
Okay. Or I know a lot of massage therapists use this as a means of, they really try to get you to breathe with them. And so that they're going with the flow of that. They're really paying attention to your breath, and that also as a means of helping to relax. So that's another form of doing that, right?
And it's just it's a great unity to kind of come into a cellular and energetic agreement of whatever it is that you are achieving in that moment.
Yeah. So why is that woo, Suzanne? I don't understand what's so woo about that.
Let's see. I feel like I've said energy at least 3 times already in the first minute. So I think it's woo because I actually think this is what Jesus did with his disciples. That was the difference between the disciples and the apostles, is the disciples had been in his space and had breathed with him and had prayed with him. And, when in Aramaic, when you are listening to the Lord's Prayer, as we call it, the breathing of it
Yes.
is a very important part of it. So one of the cool things, and you can go on YouTube and find this, but to say the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic
hmm
is that you're doing it with the same breathing pattern because the language is the same
Right.
as Jesus spoke.
Yeah.
And so to have that even more of a connection.
hmm
So, but yeah, I think anything that brings you into alignment
hmm
in a way is a little bit woo.
Yeah. Yeah. Forget what it is that where heartbeats will start to
Synchronize.
synchronize. There's
Mm-hmm.
this idea, yeah, that as you kind of tap into somebody else, as you're becoming receptive to them, listening to them, and vice versa, that you start to get in
You jump
rhythm.
together.
You get in rhythm with each other. Like that's what ends up kind of happening. And that's how I think you better understand. I think that's part of us doing that process is start trying to understand what the other person's trying to communicate. It's very helpful.
So in a previous episode, I talked about how when two people are together in a relationship, that there is that third entity, or
Mhm.
there is that entity that is the third.
Yes.
So 1 + 1 = 3.
Entity / entrainment / E. Sorry. I'm really pulling for the E
You
here
really
today.
are, and the letters on this side, so I'm kind of like, wow, she's got it like fixed in her head.
Yeah. I looked
But
at a dictionary today. That's what happened.
but a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Of that third thing is full of the energy that is the entrainment of
Mhm.
what you have created together in
Yeah.
terms of your synchronicity.
Mhm.
Actually, that's not the right word, of your being synchronized.
Yes. So one way that I have personally felt this in a real palpable way is
A woo way.
a woo way is in meditation. But so in meditation, you can do it singularly, of course, and most of the time that's exactly what happens. Benefit, oftentimes people find in meditation is to do it in groups
Mhm.
for this reason, that it's an entrainment with the group together and you're able to somehow tap into something more. But beyond just doing meditation with everybody, specifically chanting styled
Mhm.
meditations. So I have, you can say Om as being part of that chant, right? And for me, I have done this in a group before where, I've done the Om on my own,
Mhm.
was not necessarily as impactful on me as doing it in a group because you can feel that vibration.
Mhm.
And it's a constant, like I would get goosebumps all
Mhm.
over my body in that process, which that wouldn't happen if I was just doing it
By yourself.
by myself in the living room. Yeah.
Lynn Taggart has done, she's a scientist who's done multiple studies and has people who pray at the same time
hmm
every day around the world
hmm
and every week in specific times for specific topics. And she has done the science of showing that kind of gathering of those energies
hmm
and synchronizing that entrainment has massive effects.
Yes.
So she has worked for like peacekeeping companies
hmm
to try and help with that. And at particularly tender moments in time, try to get these people to help humanity
hmm
get over that bump, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But yes, she's written multiple books about it, but it's very much that multiplicity
hmm
and intensification when we entrain with each other.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a real sharp right turn here in a conversation.
Going to go to a different E.
No, we're going to stay on this. But we're doing all these very meditation, prayer. Blah, blah. Okay. So recently you had sent me something, but I had also seen it too on my own,
Uh-huh.
just because I think YouTube listens to us in general.
We're
So,
entrained. We have entrained with you too.
yes, we have.
That just might be called an algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah. The YouTube has put it together that we know each other. They're like, well, if Suzanne likes it, Michael's
And I'm
probably
not even checked in.
Yeah. Like Michael's probably going to like it. So, yes. So what we've been running across is specifically there's a song that's come out, I think that's triggered this conversation. So Lady Gaga has come
Mhm.
out with a song Abracadabra,
Mm-hmm.
which is an earworm if I've ever run across one ever. And because it's one word.
I still haven't heard it, but I definitely practice abracadabra.
Yes. So this would be one of those things that I've seen multiple videos now where they are talking about it,
Straight up magic.
yeah, straight up magic, it being a spell, that
Mhm.
she's casting a spell. And yes, I'm not disputing that in any way, shape, or form. That's not necessarily where I'm taking it. But
Mhm.
where I am taking it is that there's an entrainment with music and music like that,
Oh, so hard, yeah.
right? So, like when you sing along to the music, choose what you want to really align yourself with.
Absolutely.
What is the message that's being said in that song? Is that something that you want to really kind of get into
Mhm.
your soul, into your body? And I'm sure at one point we will do an episode on music. We've debated it a number of times, but this
Mhm.
would be one element of that, right? That where
Mhm.
you entrain by a constant repeating, singing along with, and
Moving your body, driving it into your cells,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it, as I'm doing it,
Yeah,
when I think
she
of it,
can't be still.
I can't be still. I have to like pulse with it. But I also think it makes me think about meditation, and that kind of meditation. When you do that, start that kind of chanting, there is the
Mhm.
similar swaying as I move. I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone, but you start to
Yeah.
sway.
In Hebrew, it's davening.
Yes.
And when you see pictures of the Wailing Wall, that is, or the Western Wall, that
Yes.
is what you see the Orthodox
Exactly.
dominantly doing.
And so whenever I think of the word entrainment, that is the imagery in my mind that
Mhm.
comes into play,
Mhm.
is exactly that. That's what I think about. So then I have to, honestly, when we were talking about this subject of having it be the episode, I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I need to dissect this so I can take apart how I'm thinking about it.
Mhm.
Right. And because that's exactly what I think about. But music is the natural thing that makes people want
Yeah,
to do the same. Right.
absolutely. And I would say, just even as a little kid,
Hmm.
one of the reasons why I can recall so many songs from my
Yeah.
childhood is because I completely got into like New Kids in Town by the Eagles.
Hmm.
Yep. I am just can time travel back. But that entrainment of being in the breath and being in the energy of it.
Hmm.
And even though at the time I was listening to it, I had no idea what it was about,
Hmm.
but it can trigger the emotions of the sadness
Yeah.
that comes with the lyrics
Hmm.
just by, I mean, that's the power of music, but the power of music, as we're saying, is
Hmm.
partially entrainment. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why things that you did as a kid,
Yeah.
you hold on to oftentimes a lot more than other things.
Yeah.
And I also personally just keep track of time through music.
Yes. No, I think a lot of people do. I mean, it's very easy. It's to do that, right?
At least it used to be easier when there was a radio. Boy, does that sound antiquated, but really.
But yeah, yeah. Like I remember, yeah, there's a lot of songs. What is the song? Don't You Forget About Me by
Yeah. Simple Minds.
Simple Minds. Yes, thank you. And you would think, oh, yeah, you heard that on the Breakfast Club. No, actually, when I was younger, I heard it on the radio the first time. And I
Mhm.
remember having my own experience in my life at the time with that song. And then I saw it in the movie later on. But yes, that is one that I'm like, definitely marks a period of time for me in my life.
But I think the words component that we are driving those words into us is absolutely essential to keep track of.
Yeah.
And I remember when I really decided I wanted to get more serious about my relationship, my romantic relationship,
Because
and I realized that there was not one country song that I could listen to.
they're all depressing. Like, she left me.
They're
And
all about
yeah.
bad relationships, and
Yeah.
then when you started looking at everything, it was kind of
Hmm.
like, "Okay, I have a very limited pool here because lyrics are so important to me."
Yeah.
And yeah, and I do have, like, a playlist that's just happy songs.
Well, I think you need to. I think more and more I'm paying attention to the songs I'm listening to. A lot of the ones that I like to sing to are uplifting in a lot of different ways. And as I've been doing my time traveling again
Mhm,
with music, so I was listening to 90s music for
mhm,
myself the other day. There were so many songs that, yes, I know the lyrics to, and the natural thing is to want to sing along. And as I had to stop myself because
mhm.
so many of the songs that were coming up were, okay, hate to call this out, but Beck's I'm a Loser.
Like, don't say those words.
I know,
Yeah.
it's like, I can't, okay. Even though I know all the lyrics, okay. I'm like, I really don't wanna say that.
Yeah.
Like, because in saying it, that I know what I'm like introducing into, and I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
sadly, kind of, I'll bop along to the song, I guess. I'll bop like that's, but
Yeah.
I almost debated actually fast forward. I'm not saying that other people need to do the same thing, but for me recently, I've
Mhm.
really even been going so far as to be like, do I even want to listen to it, even though I do like the song, taking more to heart what it's saying,
Mhm. Yeah, for
actually.
sure.
Yeah,
So, what are some other forms of entrainment that you have experienced or so
other things.
I would say probably Mardi Gras is a great example.
Okay, sorry, you put me on the spot. I just blanked out. Yes, Mardi Gras, good.
Yeah. I know we talked about this in a couple episodes ago,
Yes.
but still that same thing of moving and singing and chanting and being part of that energy. And I think actually that's the bottom line for why your company wants you to come to the retreat,
Hmm.
whether you want to go or not.
Yeah.
Why, people have artist retreats, they want to go not only see the artist create and be taught,
Hmm.
but be in the energy of that person and hope that it rubs off on them.
Yeah.
I know when I led writing retreats, that was something that people would always be kind of like, I just kind of want to be around you
Hmm.
because you've done a lot of this.
Yes.
And at the time, I didn't quite understand. I just knew that we all as humanity, have a mimetic
Hmm.
kind of drive. And so if you're in a space where somebody is sitting and doing their work, you are more likely to sit and do your work
Yes.
than you are to do something else, which is why, even Zoom writing groups work
Hmm.
because there is that, oh, this is what everybody's doing. And you kind of get in that flow
Yeah.
and pool that energy together.
Hmm. So dance obviously is a
Mhm.
very trained. So even especially whenever I've
Training
been,
and entrainment.
yes, right. So for dance, even for when you're training
Mhm.
and doing classes and doing rehearsals and that kind of thing, absolutely. But even more so, the thing that comes to my mind is when I was performing, especially when I was performing on stage and doing like a solo where I have to really hold the whole stage by myself,
Mhm.
is I would start to play with this idea of, even though I'm not necessarily, I may be performing with an orchestra or a symphony, I may
Mhm.
not be,
Mhm.
right? It may be recorded. That
Mhm.
might be a thing. So, but either way, I would take that idea of that my steps are equally guiding the music as the music is guiding me, so that
Mm.
there was an entrainment between the two. So
Mhm.
like there would be certain points where I'm like, the music stops, I'm stopping,
Mhm.
and it's like, is it me who's stopping the music or the other way around? Like I would play
Mhm.
with that idea of being so entrained with
Mhm.
that's how I was guiding my dancing, was by doing that.
And I would think also, and I have seen this in friends' daughters
Hmm.
more than anything you've ever shared, but that part of the entrainment of being a young ballerina is oftentimes the negative side of the food disorders
Oh
and the
yeah.
body dysmorphia and all that kind of thing
Hmm.
that one person gets it and then it just is almost an infection that moves through.
Yes.
And I've seen that in other things and actually an amusing one. So there's a phrase you say, and I've paid attention to it and noticed kind of how it has trickled down through YouTube.
Me or other
You
people? Okay.
you were my first one I noticed. And then I started seeing that basically everybody on YouTube who was woo
Says it.
used it. And then in the past, I'd say 3 weeks, it's
Hmm.
just kind of started being everywhere.
Sorry.
And
I'm
it's
gonna
just
guess you
kind of
don't
like,
like it that much.
it's one of those things that to an editor's ear
Hmm.
is
Hard.
redundant.
Yes.
And so, but moving in the world, and just like I imagine the Virgo perfectionist working through the world, and it's just like there's just a lot of things that just have to, it's not mine, it just
Hmm.
goes up by. There's a lot of things that it's just like, okay, that's not mine, it just goes by.
Hmm.
And that's one of them. But it is something that I have
You're gonna have to
noticed,
tell
and
me
now I
after.
have, I can tell you now. Um, it is at this moment in time.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so I first noticed you saying it because my proximity,
Hmm.
and then I noticed that everybody you listen to who you refer me to said
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
And then as the channels have widened and broadened and swooped around, now everybody's basically saying it. I'm just waiting for some news person to say it.
Mhm.
And they'll be like, okay, the AP style book is truly dead.
Sorry, Suzanne.
Just going to say, for the sake of now that I have built the soapbox, um, at this moment
Mhm,
indicates that it's end time.
mhm.
So,
Is it like chai tea?
yeah, if you're Indian, I imagine, especially, just
Mhm.
like, so TT.
TT. Yes.
Or I guess if you really want to be black coffee, because any other kind of coffee is another drink.
Yes, it's true. Mhm.
So, yes, different forms of entrainment. And I think, so I have an example from my childhood where entrainment went terribly, terribly wrong. So, my mother has a beautiful vocabulary.
Mhm.
And we had gone somewhere, and I was like, I must have been in third grade because we were in southern Spain. And I was so proud to have learned this word.
Mhm.
And I was like, we were looking over some vista, and I was like, this is so picturesque.
Mhm.
And she was like, oh, Susanna, that's not how you pronounce that word. It's picturesque.
Oh.
And I was like, oh.
Uh-oh.
So
Yes.
I go to school.
Mhm.
My teacher uses the word. I don't know why she's using the word. And I correct her.
Yeah.
I don't just correct her, I throw down.
Yeah, you triple down on this?
My mom, graduate of blah, blah, blah.
She says.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got sent to the principal's office.
Yeah.
That was like maybe
I'm sure it went over
once of
well.
3 times.
Yeah.
And when I came home, just hysterical, Mom, they got it wrong. I kept correcting him. And she was like, I was just teasing. I thought you knew better.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, really didn't know better.
No.
So for years, I've been able to pull out that guilt card. But she'd be like, I didn't know you were going to do that. And it was like, but that whole idea of in training of being
Yeah.
kind of, I believed I was so caught up in that energy of, oh, this is how this is done.
Mhm.
And then
There you go.
very, very incorrect.
Mhm.
So
So I think we've perhaps really covered what entrainment, why entrainment is woo.
are you feeling entrained?
Yes, probably. We'll break the spell. So we need to figure out what our next letter is going to be. Okay, so now we are going to be doing F for fairies. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Fate.
Fortune. I don't know.
Fancy.
We'll get back to you
Thanks for joining us.
next time on All the Woo.
A to Z.